Hello, my name is Becky Metcalfe. I'm Head of Content at Design Centre Chelsea Harbour. Welcome to our Style Spy session. I'm absolutely delighted that today I'm joined by Creative Director Karina Garrick. Karina, how are you?
Hi, Becky. I'm really well, thank you. It's lovely to see you, and I can't wait to see what we've got to overview today.
There is so much to see, and I know you've been through the new collections with a fine-tooth comb. And there's a lot of excitement. I'm wondering whether we should just dive straight in and get going on these new season patterns straight away. What do you think?
Yeah, let's. What have you got up first?
Well, I think we should start with our first design direction, neo-nostalgia.
Perfect.
So let's start with our first design direction. It's called neo-nostalgia. Now, there's been quite a lot going on this year, but I think that need for comfort is here to stay. So our first trend takes inspiration from the past. There's something very reassuring and familiar about this trend. There are lots of decorative layers, and it's very individual. You can see there's sort of mix of old and new. Lockdown, of course, provided the perfect excuse for us all to get really cozy. Let's pull out a few things that we like from this section. I am very keen on the Dorian fabric from Colfax and Fowler. Can you see that on the chairs? It's got a sort of, again, it feels rather familiar. It's actually inspired by key limbs, but it looks geometric. But of course, that very soft handle again makes it feel really cozy. And there's some very interesting tape on the back of that picture. Can you see it on the blind as well? Another company has got this very relaxed look is GP&J Baker. Karina, the Portobello collection, what do you think about that?
Oh, it's so sweet, isn't it? All those gorgeous hand blocks, which just work so perfectly together. I love that kind of hand block print with weaves and that whole kind of layering story that you can create with it. Such an adaptable collection, and one that will do really well, I think.
And there's something kind of far-flung about that. You feel that this person who likes this neo-nostalgia scheme likes travel and might have been to India or might have a house in Notting Hill. What else is kind of key about this look? Well, I think there's a bit of history thrown in here. Let's talk about a new collection from Rubelli. It's called San Polo, and it's celebrating something very significant in Venice, I think.
I think it's just such a lovely story, isn't it? You know, the San Polo fabric is taken from the design, the really successful design of San Marco. And the fact that they've created these beautiful shades. I think there's 16 shades, all named after each of the individual 16 districts in Venice. And then, of course, the anniversary itself is 1600.
Brilliant. Talking of Venice, I don't know whether you can see, but there's a little applique on this page. And designer Roger Thomas, you might know him from his work in hospitality projects, particularly Wynn Resorts. He's one of those designers who always walks around with a sketchbook, and he's teamed up with Samuel & Sons to really give his interpretations of his life in Venice, walking about, wandering around the churches, the galleries, the palaces, the Biennale exhibitions. And that little applique is so adorable, and he's just using appliques in quite an interesting way.
Yeah, I think Roger was being, the things he was saying about he was giving a lot of tips on how he uses passementerie and this little applique. He was talking about perhaps using it on a ceiling to detail architectural features, or perhaps around a chandelier. And I hadn't really thought about how those kind of opportunities could be used for something like passementerie. But yeah, it's certainly a very versatile thing, and of course beautifully executed, as you would expect. And I think comes in sort of two versions, so you can kind of use one to kind of mirror the other. Lovely product, lovely collection actually. And the the theme of Venice is something which, you know, has popped up quite a bit this year.
It is. Let's talk more history. Cole & Son have been inspired by 6 royal residences. They include places like Hampton Court, Tower of London. It's really wonderful. They've really looked at scale, they've really looked at pattern, and they've looked at those artisans who've been involved in the creation of those brilliant palaces, as well as the monarchs who really led the charge. There's a really sweet little pattern called Palace Tales, which is very whimsical. It's a sort of fantasy setting and includes a polar bear that one of the kings used to keep in the royal menagerie. So it may look traditional, but you can see it's not fuddy-duddy. We've got some sort of quirky things here. I rather like that sofa by David Seyfried called Wave. You can see at the bottom. And there's a rather fine wall light called Medusa. It's inspired by Jean Royer, and you can see it's sort of rather sculptural and spiral. Look at that lovely faux red gesso on it. So fun. It's so fun. That is our neo-nostalgia theme. But from cozy inside, I'm wondering if we should celebrate the great outdoors. I don't know about you, but I have been outside more this year than I think I've ever been in my life. Karina, you've got a dog, so you've been probably gathering your foot count every day.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. It's been lovely actually to be able to connect with nature, and I think everyone's really discovered that.
Well, I think we should go from sort of rainy England. I think we should go to the tropics, to the West Indies, in fact, and we're going to go to a collection that has been that Travers at Zimmerman Road have done. Now, we love this upbeat Tropica fabric. You can see it's got these wonderful tropical fruits and lovely trees and pineapples. Oh, goodness me, it's like a breath of fresh island air. It was first launched in the 1990s, and in fact, they've gone back into their archives and they've put it out again this season. It seems entirely appropriate. It's so sort of sunny and happy. It really is. I think there's a little sort of toucan bird from Porto Romano as well, and that could look rather fun on a tropical place of paradise too. My very favourite image this season is from Perennials Sutherland Studio. It's cushions thrown up in the air, and it's just so joyful.
There's certainly quite a lot of, you know, little eclectic touches here, which can definitely take you off into, you know, different places.
What's very interesting about these cushions is, in fact, they are high performance. So if you imagine a sort of warm human environment, they would probably be chaotic for textiles. But Perennials have got this incredible 100% solution dyed acrylic yarn. And it just means that they're really resistant to mold and mildew, and you can just basically kick your shoes off and, you know, have another pina colada. What about furniture for outdoor living? There seems to be a bit of a trend here whereby some very major design houses have taken their indoor collections and they've taken them outside. I think the important thing is, because they are all about the functionality and the comfort and the look of them, they haven't compromised at all on quality or style. Let's talk about Flexform and the Atalant daybed. So chic, so comfortable. I don't know, I just want to lie down on that and look out to sea. It's so beautiful. And actually McKinnon and Harris, they've slightly changed tack a little bit. You can see here that they've got a backless bench. I rather like those blue and white stripes. And can you see the canvas sofa? Very modular. I think that's by Paola Lenti.
Yes, it's beautiful. I'm really in love with this kind of sea greens and turquoises.
There's something very fresh about them, isn't there?
Yeah, and the terracotta as well. You know, let's not forget the earth element in all this, as we can see in the beautiful palette there from C&C Milano. That fabric is gorgeous.
Yes, you sort of think of them as having very natural fabrics, but these earthy textures is quite a different look for them. I tell you what I really love is Etimo. They are very keen on outdoor spaces, and it's they feel it's all about our relationship with nature itself, by Paola Novoni. And it's so beautiful because the stone top is glazed in the color of the sea. So again, that palette you were talking about, Karina, is very, very interesting. I'm going to take you away from sun, sea, and sand to somewhere a bit more wild, the wild landscapes of Scandinavia. Paysage is a fantastic new wallpaper from Liliev, and it conjures up those sort of forests and frozen lakes and deep fjords. That stack of it going up in that sort of vertical way is a very strong pattern, I think. Talking of Scandinavia, Ragnar Irwin of Chase Irwin, of course, she is originally from Iceland, and they are introducing a new collection called Mineral. What do you think about those shears, Karina?
Oh, they're really beautiful, and I love the way that they were inspired by, things that they'd observed in nature, like the ice on water and, the shimmer of snow and the glossiness of wet rocks and all those things. And, sometimes shears get they don't really get center stage. And we've seen quite a lot of interesting shears popping up in these new collections from a number of companies. So maybe we're looking at a lighter sort of fresher palette too.
I think there's something very kind of natural and nice and soft about a shear. You can imagine if you're back with Travers in the West Indies, the sort of breeze blowing through the shears through the window. I don't know, it's all terribly romantic, isn't it?
There was that really pretty one, St. Kitts, which is a sort of square. It's got like a geometric design on it, which is really, really pretty. Yeah, I adore those ones. And who did the one with that kind of leaf design?
I think Larson have got some very beautiful lightness to their shears as well this season. So yes, I agree. I think watch out for those shears to have that easy breezy, relaxed way to them. Shall we move on to our next trend? Our next trend, we're going to go into the studio. This plays tribute to artists around the world. I think we should start with that great French family business who has a reputation for invention and a really eclectic style. Of course, it's Pier Frey. The new collections this season are called Joie de Vivre and Eternal Été, and they pay tribute to Provence. So, of course, it's a region with its own strong associations with art and authenticity. But I don't know, there's a kind of feeling of Picasso, perhaps, Matisse. It's very joyful, and it's very, very eclectic and upbeat. I think there are all sorts of motifs. Mermaids, Karina, did I see in some of them?
Yes, I think that design is called Poseidon. Lots of abstract expressionism going on in there, which of course is always joyful, isn't it?
Always joyful. And there's quite a lot of ceramics, influence of ceramics, and then some quite sort of south of France kind of things like suns, flowers, cactuses, tiles. It's just so joyful, and you just think again you're in some sort of sun-soaked patio somewhere. It's just lovely. So that's Pier Frey's homage to art. What about at Abbott and Boyd? Well, Elitists have a new brand called Astaire, and they work with creatives who tread a fine line between art and design. And it's really infused a range of wall coverings with a level of artistic merit that you might find in a gallery. I particularly love this pattern called Outside the Box. It's from Kansas City. It's by the decorating duo Portatelio. They're quite well known for hand-painted wall coverings, but of course you can now get it digitally printed, so it's sort of easier to get. But I just think it's those graphic shapes, and the color is just heaven on a stick. Let's go back to England and to Sussex and to the South Downs, that famous farmhouse in the South Downs, Charleston, the heart of the Bloomsbury Group. It was their rural hideaway. Now, George Spencer have based their new Sussex collection on Charleston. Walls, doors, fireplaces, furniture, all painted by their very celebrated owners, Vanessa Bell and Duncan Grant. It must have been a sensation during that time, so different from that sort of fusty, dusty Edwardian look, and very, very joyful. So that's George Spencer, who have been inspired by the Bloomsbury Group and Charleston particularly. Let's also talk about artists making things. I know that we have been into the studios for our Spotlight series, and we've been very lucky that Laurie Weitzner has welcomed us into her New York studio, and we were able to see some of the work that she's been doing called Making Our Mark. Now, she says that everybody has their, she's done is she's shown some of her team's doodles, and they've been translated onto fabrics and wallpapers. And I just love that sort of freedom to it. So fun, isn't it?
Really lovely. You know, Weitzner are known for their embroideries. And I think you can see that really delicate touch there in those little spirals and things that that Laurie is Laurie's very favorite doodle. But yeah, lovely collection, very thoughtful. And of course, they've also done that lovely collection for wall coverings, haven't they? The foundations, which is very new for them.
Another New York artist is Liz Collins. Now, she's known for her abstract geometrics, and she's teamed up with Pollock. So we were able to see her fabrics translated onto fabrics for the first time. And it was just incredible to see how those Sunbrella contract yarns had translated her very strong graphic look into amazing fabrics. And we've got a pile of them all stacked up there as well.
Yeah, not for the faint-hearted, but my gosh, you know, what a fantastic statement. And you know, Liz is just one of those people where you think, oh my God, I just want to sit down, have a cup of coffee with her and listen to her forever, because she is just such a vibrant personality, which really comes out in her work. And I think she described the texture. We can't really see it here on these swatches, but I think there's quite a textural, there's a raised texture on these fabrics, which, you know, she said she wanted it to feel almost like asphalt, you know, like tarmac. And how brilliant, she said herself, how brilliant, you know, a fabric like that would look on a large sofa in a room. It would really command a space, but, you know, in a good way.
We're going from the studio actually to a place of art collection. So we're going to Lake Como. God, we're really having a bit of a world trip this afternoon. Lake Como is the home of Villa Carlotta. Villa Carlotta has been their pride of place on Lake Como for 300 years. And actually it's got the most incredible art collection. And it's inspired their collection of velvets and wools and linens and jacquards. I could talk about fabrics and new things all afternoon, I must say. But after a year of staring at the screen, I think the idea of seeing things up close and personal, and actually seeing the techniques and the craftsmanship in so many products this year, we can't wait to do that.
Tactility is important because I think it creates an emotional response. You know, when something feels a certain way, you have a response to it. And the more luxurious it is, you know, the louder we purr, don't we? You know, with you know, it's very pleasurable. I've been really impressed actually by the amount of thoughtfulness and work that's come out of all the design studios this year. There's been a lot of delving into the archives, revisiting the archives, And I think that kind of observation and thoughtfulness really comes through in the quality of the work that everyone has produced, because there is so much to admire, and so many lovely things, which just really, it kind of melts my heart a little bit, because we are so lucky to be in an industry where we can be a part of, things which are beautiful and which will enrich people's lives. And I think everyone's just worked so strongly on that.
Let's take a look at some examples to show this detail, this incredible expertise. I actually I love these new Condor fabrics from Andrew Martin. He's always the company's always inspired by exploration and adventure and nature. And I love the fact that he's taking us into the Andean mountains for these. They've actually had to work very, very closely with mills and weavers and spinners to make these rugged textiles. It actually has been quite difficult for them to make them. But they've got lovely names like Pampas and Llama, which it just takes me off to South America. I love those. But you were actually talking about detail. Let's go straight into that. There's so much of this raised stitching. I'm very keen on this Alberto Glacier fabric. You can see on that very, very pale minty ground. It's actually a sort of linen satin. And there you can see this incredible applied rope. I think the other person who's done a lot about texture and detail is actually Philip Jeffries. Parasol stitch, which you can see in the picture there, natural sisal. And when you get up close and personal, you can see that black stitching. And it's really looks like almost like, those awnings you see at resorts. I just think the detail is graphic, those graphic shapes. Again, all those sort of soft shapes, those round circles are so interesting. I've got another favorite, which is Romo. Romo, of course, are very into experimentation in their studio. And they're quite pioneers often in sort of weaving techniques and things like that. There's a very interesting layered diamond design, but again, if you go up close and personal with it, it's got a very clever cut fringe, which creates a three-dimensional feathered effect. Tolgard is introducing Danish Atelier over Garden Durham. That's the circle chair, which is rather fabulous. And a little favorite from Collier Webb, it's Sepp. It's the Sepp collection. So they're large miniature with battery plugged in. They've really got a little family going here. It's just lovely. So I think we should leave on a high note, Karina, and let's talk about the joy of colour. We've had a really long old winter, and I think there's nothing better than seeing uplifting palettes in our world of interior design. I'm going to start with a new arrival at the Design Centre, and that is Schumacher. So that great American decorating company has been producing fabrics for 132 years, and it's opened its first standalone showroom in Europe at the Design Centre, just in time for London Design Week, and we couldn't be more thrilled. So they have got the most active studio. Every month they produce new collections, and of course they're very well known for their collaborations, all the way back in history to right up until now, with people like Via Grenny, fashion designer Jonathan Hertig, and this season they're doing collaborations with Nisha Crossland and Molly Marn. But there's a little applique that I am very keen on, which they also do, and it's this one. It's the Helios applique trim. I just think it's so adorable and so cute. I don't know, there's something very sunny about it, and it's rather expresses Schumacher's attitude to life. They think that I don't know. They think that pattern sparks joy, and they've also told us that they think there's going to be a golden age of decorating. So bring that on. Bring that on. Another very colourful design this season is from Arte. They're introducing a new collection of panoramic wallpapers. And you can see this one, it's called Les Mystères de Madagascar. Beautiful color palette there. And I rather love her red skirt as she wanders in and out of that arcade of Moorish arches. What's very interesting about Arte is they're not just looking about pattern, they're also thinking about texture. And this one is printed on coarse linen as well. Let's go across to Italy again, and let's go to Burano. Can you tell us a little bit more about that lovely pattern from Rubelli showing those pretty multicolored houses?
Isn't it adorable? And it's so beautifully, the colors are just so beautifully considered. There are two versions of this fabric. One is the kind of sunny one that we can see here with the colors. And then there is another version which is in kind of tones of pearly grays, which is kind of Venice, more in February or in the rain, you know, which is also very chic and lovely.
Carpets, let's move to carpets. Esty Barnes, based in London, discovered an artist on Instagram called Gianluca Francesi, based in San Francisco. And although they were 5,000 miles apart, they have created an incredible collection called Matrix. This is Nebula, which is a very interesting rug. I would say it's sort of cross between art and floor covering. There's something very, very interesting here. Gianluca actually works with reflective patterns and space and light onto rugs. I think it's absolutely brilliant collection. And what else have we got that's really cheery? Well, that strawberry wood chair, the Stefan by Paolo Moschino, is rather fun. I think that's got a lot of legs to it. And there's an awful lot of colourful florals at Sanderson this season. I think they've got an anniversary, Karina, is that right?
I think they have, and they've been working really hard on recoloring and rescaling some of their really beautiful archive designs. I think Rose and Peony is out there. There's a gorgeous turquoise background fabric, the name of which I've forgotten, but you know, color and pattern is a real celebration from them this season.
And of course, Sanderson have often been associated by celebrating nature, but these are sort of huge, joyous blooms, looking so beautiful and exuberant and cheerful. I just love them. I just love them. Well, Karina, we could be here all day talking about amazing products, fabrics, wallpapers, carpets, rugs, lighting, tiles, you name it, it's all here at the Design Centre. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. It was so fun.
Thank you, Becky. It's been lovely. And I have a huge long list of things I can't wait to come and check out.
Well, the showrooms are absolutely standing to attention. They're ready to show you the new spring collections. They've got all that specialist knowledge at their fingertips, and they might even show you some of the things that we've been talking about today, and you can see them in their full glory. Thank you very much indeed, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon.